Roast vegetables, I love them, but I'm not serving them as a side or in a salad. I'm actually going to blend them up to make a delicious sauce to go with my spinach and ricotta ravioli. Now, I've preheated my oven to 190 degrees, so a hot oven, and I've got about 6 vegetables here. And this is a recipe that I turn to when I'm in need of lots of vegetables fast. So onto a tray, along with some zucchini, a large zucchini, and I'm gonna cut my zucchini into 4 equal parts. I want all of my vegetables to cook at the same time, so we're gonna cut them differently. I'm going to quarter a red capsicum, and I've just taken the seeds out, they can go on. And some pumpkin. The pumpkin I've just cut into smaller pieces. This is butternut pumpkin. The pumpkin will take the longest to cook. Tomatoes, so just 2 tomatoes. They take no time at all to cook, so we're just going to halve them. And tomatoes, when they're roasted, transform completely, become so sweet, and that's going to tie the whole sauce together. Some garlic cloves, they can just go in whole, and some rosemary. So a good amount of rosemary. We'll sprinkle that over. A generous drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, a good pinch of salt, and some freshly cracked pepper. And how pretty does that look? So colourful, so good for you. These now go into the oven, and they're going to cook for about 40 to 50 minutes or until they're lovely and caramelised. How good do they look? They're really soft, they're slightly caramelised, they smell fantastic. All I need to do with them is just blend them in a food processor until they're super smooth. These gorgeous fresh raviolis filled with creamy ricotta and baby spinach. It's the perfect pasta to go with a sauce like this. I love these because they're handmade artisan pasta, and they're made with a traditional family recipe. So I've got some water, it's just come up to the boil. I'll also add a good pinch of salt. So we'll just sprinkle that in there, and then in with our gorgeous little pillows of ravioli. And because they're fresh filled pasta, they're not going to take long at all to cook. I don't need to put the lid back on. So while they're cooking, let's get on to blending our gorgeous veggies. The sauce is lovely and smooth, and I've just placed it in a large pan. I'm not going to turn the heat on this, I just want it in a pan so I can toss everything together. Now onto our little pillows of ravioli. They're perfectly cooked, so I'm going to use a slotted spoon to add it to the pan. And this starchy water is gold. We need this to bring the whole thing together. So I've just got a ladle, and we'll just add about half a ladle full of water. To this, I'll also add a generous amount of freshly grated Parmesan cheese. And now for the fun part, which is tossing everything together, just coating it. A few little splashes there, that's all right. And we are ready to serve. So I'm just going to use my slotted spoon again, just to grab some of these little raviolis, and I'll place it onto a plate. I really like that they're completely covered in that gorgeous, rich sauce of 6 types of vegetables. Oh, that looks great. Now, to finish it off, some more Parmesan cheese just over the top. And I love texture when I'm having my pasta, so walnuts, toasted walnuts over the top, just really finishes the dish off nicely. Some freshly cracked pepper, and some more olive oil, just a small drizzle. That right there is a stunning dish that the whole family is going to love. And I don't know about you, but sometimes you just need a big hit of vegetables, and you do want to hide them from certain people in the family. Well, this is your dish. Healthy, wholesome, using beautiful ricotta and baby spinach ravioli. Tagine, a very famous North African stew. There are so many different varieties, chicken, lamb, or vegetable, and that's what I'm going to be cooking today. Tagine usually refers to the actual vessel that you're going to be cooking the stew in, but instead of cooking it in that classic vessel, I'm going to show you how to cook it in the 12-piece stackable set, which not only goes into the oven, it also goes onto the stove top. So it's super versatile. It also comes with a detachable handle, so it's going to make life a lot easier when cooking. cooking. We're going to start with the roasted vegetables in the oven. You want that oven to be quite hot. So this pan does go in the oven. It's quite a large one, 26 centimetres, so I can add loads of vegetables to this. I have some pumpkin, and you can see that I've cut it into large chunks. To this, I'll add some fennel. You can add all different types of vegetables to this. I love the aniseed flavour of fennel. So we're going to cut this into 4. And I love fennel because as it roasts in the oven, you get a beautiful flavour, but it also is going to hold its shape as it slowly cooks in the onions later on. So I'm just going to trim the tops off. Okay, and if you get large chunks like this one is here, you can also cut it a little further down. What I do want to do is keep the core in just so it holds its shape. So that can go into our pan, and I'm going to add one more chunk. And it's okay if the vegetables are poking out. I kind of want that because as it cooks at a high heat, it'll caramelise. So we'll just move that to one side. Also, to make this into a really hearty stew, some potato. So 1 Desiree potato, skin and all, straight down the middle in half. And then we'll cut that into quarters. We want everything to be roughly the same size. And for a pop of colour, some capsicum, a red capsicum. We're going to cut this into chunky strips. Great. And then we'll just poke that in and around the dish. All right, we need some oil on this, a good glug of extra virgin olive oil, just in and around, okay, and a good pinch of salt. Now, I'm not adding any spices at this stage because it's at that high heat. I don't want those spices to burn, so we're just roasting those veg. So into the oven, and they're going to cook until they're just tender. All right, while they're cooking in the oven, let's get onto the onions. Now, this is a super important part. You don't want to rush it. You don't want to quickly cook the onions. You want them to cook long and slow so we really develop the flavour. Again, another good glug of olive oil. We want a good couple of tablespoons just to cover the base of this sauté pan. To this, some red onions, and that's not sizzling at this stage, and I don't want it to sizzle because we want them to cook long and slow. Some garlic and some coriander. Now, I like to use whole coriander seeds that I've just crushed slightly, so you've got a little bit of texture there. Some salt. And now this is going to cook for about 10 minutes. I'm going to keep an eye on it and constantly stir it until it's caramelised, soft and almost jammy. All right, these onions have cooked down nicely and vegetables are out of the oven. See how caramelised they are? Just right. So let's add some more spices. Just a little hint of turmeric, just for some colour, about half a teaspoon, along with some ground cumin and ground ginger, which is quite classic in North African food. Another classic flavour in a tagine is preserved lemon. Now, what I've done is taken the flesh out and I've finely chopped the skin. That can go in. You only need 1 to 2 wedges of it because it is quite a strong flavour. One vegetable we haven't cooked yet is our zucchini. Now, zucchini takes no time at all to cook, so that's why I'm leaving it to this stage. So that can go in along with some chickpeas. That's just 1 can of chickpeas. I've drained and I've given them a really good wash. And we'll just coat everything in that delicious spice mixture. It smells so good. A little splash of water just to get it extra saucy. To this, some olives, so that pop of saltiness, some green olives, and we need some sweetness, and dates are used quite a lot too. So what I'm doing is just breaking them in half and then adding them so everyone gets that pop of sweetness. Okay, the seeds have been removed. You could change this up and use some apricots or some peaches, completely up to you. Now that that's coated, we can add our gorgeous vegetables. Now this has cooled down slightly and I just want to be really delicate with our vegetables. They're almost cooked. They've just got a little bit of give in them just so they can cook further in this delicious sauce. So what I like to do is just fold everything together. It's okay if some of it breaks up because it's just going to thicken up that sauce. And look at those colours. Folding everything, coating in that delicious sauce. And now what I like to do is just let everything mingle and marry together. So the lid can go on And we're going to cook this for a further 5 to 10 minutes. It really doesn't need long at all, just on that low temperature. That gives me enough time to make a quick couscous. So I've just got some hot water here. I'm just placing it into a pot and in with 1 cup of couscous. This is just instant couscous. We'll measure that out. And whenever I'm making couscous, you can add extra flavours to it like butter, or just keep it really simple, just like I'm doing today, salt and olive oil. So couscous goes in a pinch of salt and some olive oil. And you want to cover that just to trap all that steam. So just give that a shake just so all that couscous is completely submerged in the liquid. And this pot comes with a plastic lid so that can go on. We'll let that steam while that finishes cooking. All right, our couscous has swelled up nicely. It's ready to go. Let's have a look at the tagine though. Ooh, that looks so good. It is going to be super tasty with all those different flavours marrying together. So I'm just going to plate up a portion. Couscous, as always, you want to just use a fork to break up those grains. You don't want it to be clumpy. So slowly, slowly use your fork just to break it up and fluff it up. If you like, you could add some other ingredients to this, like coriander and parsley, and then some toasted almonds, but I'm going to keep that for the top. So we'll start with the base of our fluffy couscous, and we'll place this onto our plate. I'm going to make a really big, generous serving of this. Look at that. And almost make a little indent in the centre so we can add a lovely stew. We'll grab a combination of potatoes, the capsicum, look at that, big and chunky, some pumpkin. The pumpkin's almost breaking up and collapsing, which is what I love because it becomes super soft and sweet. And don't forget all of those dates and olives, the fennel. North African food, it's generous food, and it just shows how vegetables can be the absolute hero here. You don't always need meat. This meal in itself is a wonderful example of that. All right, for some crunch, those almonds over the top. Because we don't have enough colours there, I'm going to add some herbs, just coriander and parsley, roughly chopped, and a sprinkle over the top. And there you have it, a wonderful tagine showing off beautiful vegetables. It's hearty, it's healthy, it's delicious. Vegetarian stir-fried drunken noodles. It has Thai origins, and what I love about it is it's a completely adaptable recipe. Usually it comes with prawns and chicken, but I'm going to show you my version using some tofu. I love tofu if it's cooked the right way with lots of different sauces. So in a bowl, we'll start with the sauce. I just need a little fish sauce, okay, a few splashes, and this is going to season our tofu. So we'll just cut our tofu into squares. So I'm using a firm tofu for this. Whenever I'm stir frying, I like the firm tofu because it holds its shape and it can handle the hot heat of the wok. So cutting it again into little pieces. Now this goes into our fish sauce, and ideally you want to marinate this for 20 minutes or so, but you can cook it straight away. The fish sauce is not only seasoning it though, it also helps caramelise the tofu, so it gives it a really nice crust too. So the last few cubes, and then you can use your hands just to completely coat it in the fish sauce. Okay, tofu's done. Before I start to fry though, I like everything prepared. So I've already chopped up my garlic, 1 long red chilli, I'm going to slice into rounds, and if you want this to be extra hot, you could add a little small red chilli that's slightly fierier than these long ones. Okay, I love the colour of the red chilli, so I'll pop that to one side. And now we can start stir frying. Now I'm going to be using a wok that's part of a very compactable set of 12. I love this wok because it also has a flat base. So if you've got an induction cooktop like I have, you can use this wok everywhere. You can see the thermo signal is a solid red colour. So it is smoking hot. And that's what you need when you're stir frying. So a good glug of oil, just vegetable oil is fine. And it will spit a little, so be careful. And in with our tofu. It will spit a lot, so just step back. I love that sound. And we're going to give that a toss. While that's charring off, just some spring onions. Just going to use the white and light part of the spring onions. And we'll just roughly slice them into rounds. You don't want them to be too thin because I want them to have a little texture, about 1 centimetre thick. All right, in with our garlic, lots of garlic for drunken noodles, along with our chilli, sprinkle that in, and a hint of white pepper, small sprinkle, and again, just toss that just to start cooking that garlic. And because this wok is so hot, immediately you get that waft of garlic, sensational. For some vegetables, you can use whatever you like. You can chop them, julienne them. I've sped up the process just by grating some red cabbage. A little unusual for drunken noodles, but I'm giving it a bit of a twist. I want a really healthy vegetable-packed style stir fry. In with some carrot, again, I've grated it, and some bok choy, just a few pieces of that. And just coat that in the oil. Look at those colours, lovely and fresh. Right, now time for the noodles. I've used some dried noodles. I've boiled them, blanched them, and I've just placed them into another pot. This is another part of the set. It also comes with a lid, so you can pre-cook them, pop them in the fridge, and they'll stay nice and moist like this. With these noodles, you don't want them to dry out, so it's a good idea to cover them just like I've done. So in they go, a nice big handful. I love these wider style noodles. And we want to toss it throughout all those vegetables and tofu. Now to finish off this dish with the sauce. So some soy sauce, a good splash of light soy sauce, and some oyster sauce. I love the savoury flavour of the oyster sauce. So 1 to 2 tablespoons of that. Okay, now you'll notice I'm not tossing yet. I just want it to start charring slightly on the bottom so we get that lovely smoky flavour. In with our spring onions, and just to give this dish a hint of sweetness, some palm sugar, I'm just going to grate that in, and when I start tossing it, all of those sauces are going to mix in together. Great. Now for some herbs, just some Thai basil. I'm just going to pick the leaves straight in. I love Thai basil, so I'm going to add quite a lot of it. If you didn't want to use Thai basil, coriander is a fantastic substitute. Okay, final toss, and look at the colour. See how all those noodles have been stained by that sauce? It smells so good. Just get your tongs in there and give it a bit of a jiggle. And this dish is good to go. And we'll just pile this up in a bowl. This is what I love about stir fries. They take moments to cook, and there's just loads of flavour. In fact, I actually do this dish on a regular occasion when I want to use up all the veggies in my crisper. This is the way to go. A few extra things on top. I love bean sprouts, so a good handful just to garnish it. And a little lime, a little cheek of lime. We'll squeeze that over the top. And a spoonful of chilli condiment. This is just chilli with some peanuts. I love this. I'll just pop that there. That little wedge of lime will also just place on the side if you want some extra zing. Simple drunken noodles. I don't know where they get the name drunken noodles from, but what I do know is that is super tasty. Pumpkin is so versatile, and I'm going to show you a way to stuff it with a delicious stuffing of couscous and olive dip. So first up, we need to prepare our couscous. Now in this pot, I've got some vegetable stock. I'm going to keep this 100% vegetarian. To this, we'll add a little bit of chilli, so just some chilli powder, along with some garlic. We just want to soften that garlic so it's got a sweeter flavour. While that's warming through, let's pop some couscous into a bowl. So 1/3 of a cup of instant couscous, that can go in, along with a small pinch of salt, and then we'll add our stock. So this is a really flavoursome stock. I'm only going to use 1/3 of a cup. So we'll just measure that out, grabbing some of that garlic. I'll just pour a bit in there. And then we'll pour that hot stock over our couscous. Now we need to cover this so it swells up. So cling film over the top. All right, let's pop that to one side and get onto the pumpkin. I've got one whole butternut pumpkin and we need to hollow it out so all of that delicious dip and couscous can fit in there. So my technique is pretty simple. We take the seeds out and then grab a small knife and very carefully just cut around it, leaving that 2 centimetre border. So just cut around it, being very careful. And then what I like to do is a bit of a crisscross pattern. So we'll start one way, and then the other way, and then making little squares. And this is just going to make it much easier to scrape out that flesh. Now, I'm not actually using much of this flesh at all, but it doesn't go in the bin. Keep this, you can freeze it if you like, or you can use it straight away to make a delicious soup. Pick at it just to remove all of that flesh. I've got a bowl here of the other flesh, and we'll just pop that in there, and we'll continue the process until we've hollowed out 2 sides. All right, pumpkins have been hollowed out and let's get on to the rest of the filling. So a little bit of Cavolo Nero. I love this green, full of flavour. It's so good for you too. And I just want to finely chop it. If you can't get Cavolo Nero, of course you can just use some kale or some spinach. Any dark leafy green is what we're after in this recipe. So I want a good handful that's been finely shredded. And we're going to add that raw into our swelled couscous. This has absorbed all of that aromatic vegetable stock, and just using a fork, we'll just separate all the grains. Once those grains have separated, we can add our Cavolo Nero. We want some texture in here, so I love the addition of some flaked almonds. I've just toasted them off. And some sweetness, and I'll get the sweetness from 1 pomegranate. This is totally optional if you can't find pomegranates. I always love to give you some different options. Cranberries, dry cranberries are a lovely addition. Even some sultanas or some raisins. We're just wanting that pop of sweetness. And this is the best way to get pomegranates out. Just use the back of a heavy spoon in your hand. Don't wear white because it can spray and it's hard to get pomegranate stains out. Okay. Looking good. And now for our olive dip. I love this dip because it's got real big chunks of green olive. It's also gluten-free and dairy-free, so it's delicious just as is, but it's also fantastic to be used as a filler for stuffed vegetables like this. There's loads of flavour in it. So I'm going to use a whole tub of this because it's going to bind everything together. Fantastic. And we'll just give everything a really good stir. All right, that's looking good. The last thing I want to add to this is just a small amount of that pumpkin filling. Now, you only need a little bit, and what I like to do is just chop it so it's super fine. So about, I'd say 2/3 of a cup. Grab a knife and just run through it a few times. Happy with that? And a final mix through our couscous. All right, the filling is done. Let's get stuffing. So we'll grab our 2 halves and we're just going to use this spoon to carefully add this to the cavity. Now you want it to be quite compact, so just use your spoon to press that mixture into the pumpkin. You can see how much stuffing you can fit into this after you've really hollowed it out properly. And you want it to be sticky just like that, because we need to glue the 2 halves together. So we'll pop that one and that one together, squish it together. That's looking good, and we've reformed the pumpkin. Now we'll just pop that to one side just so it sits there while we prepare our tray. We need to tie this with some twine so it cooks nicely in the oven. So just line kitchen twine onto the tray. 3 or 4 pieces. Nice long pieces for this, so it's easy to tie up. Last one can go there. Spread it out so it's quite even. We'll place that on top and we'll start tying. So I like to do a double knot, 1, 2, and by doing that, it fastens quite easily, and then we'll do another one. Perfect. I'm going to continue doing this, and then we'll just drizzle a little oil and some salt over the whole pumpkin. It then goes in the oven, and I'll cook it at 190 degrees for about 40 minutes or until that pumpkin is tender. This is going to be so good. The roasted stuffed pumpkin is out of the oven. You can see it's held its shape nicely, and this twine has done its job, so we'll just cut it off. And this is one of those dramatic dishes where you can slice it and take it to the table, or you can portion it out into medallions, which is what I'm going to do. And this can be served hot or cold. I'm serving mine warm on a little bed of salad. So we're just going to slice this. I'll take the tail end off, little chef's treats there, pop that to the side, have a look at the inside of this. See how that stuffing is just sticking nicely. It's perfect. That's what we're after. And that's because of that lovely dip that we added, because it acted like the glue. I'm going to slice a generous medallion of this. Very carefully slice. I want to hold its shape. And then this goes onto a bed of rocket. Oh, looks so good. And just because I'm going to add another dollop of this olive dip as a sauce. So we'll just open that up, grab a spoon, and then we'll add a generous spoonful of that just to one side. Let that sort of cascade down if you like. A drizzle of extra virgin olive oil to tie it all together, and a small pinch of salt. And while I'm at it, some freshly cracked pepper. That is a fantastic, hearty vegetarian dish. I love this because you don't feel like you're missing out on meat whatsoever. You've got a stuffed pumpkin, loads of flavour in that stuffing, and then that extra little dollop of green olive dip. Just fantastic. Good old potatoes. They're usually served on the side, boiled, roasted, mashed, but I want to show you that they can be the main ingredient in a dish with this stunning potato curry. So I'm going to be using these charisma potatoes. They're fantastic because they've got a lovely thin skin, so I don't even bother peeling them. And have a look inside. They've got a gorgeous yellow flesh. So they're an all-purpose potato, and yes, they boil and roast, but they also hold their shape in a curry just like this. So I'm going to cut these into quarters, and we need about 4 potatoes. We want them to be medium. If they're bigger, you just need to cut them smaller. We want them to be around 4 centimetres so they cook nicely and evenly in our sauce. Now for the sauce, I've just been cooking down some onions. You want to cook these down for at least 15 minutes in some vegetable oil, or you can even use coconut oil for this. You can see how deep and golden they are, and they're caramelised. This is going to give the curry a lovely flavour. So cook them down, keep an eye on them and stir them occasionally before you start to add your ginger and your garlic. So in with some freshly minced ginger and some garlic, and then we'll just stir that in, and that'll cook down quite quickly. All right, the all-important spices, lots of ground spices for this recipe. Cumin, ground coriander, some paprika. I also like a little bit of chili and some garam masala. So they can all go in at once. And for spices that are ground like this, you don't want to over toast them because they'll burn. So you just need a few moments in there to toast. Once you start to smell the aroma of it and it's toasted, it's time to add the next ingredient. So tomato paste, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. It's also going to thicken up our lovely curry gravy. Okay, you could use stock, but I'm just using water for this. There's loads of flavour in the spices, so water is completely fine. And you'll see it already starts to thicken up nicely. So seasoning, good pinch of salt, some freshly cracked pepper if you like. We'll give that one little stir, and that's the base of our potato curry. Now in with our quarters of potato, and give them a really good mix so they're completely coated. And the last thing I want to add at this stage is some coconut cream, about 100 mils, and we'll just gently mix that in so there's no lumps. And look at that, already it looks fantastic. But we have to be patient. This now needs to cook with the lid on for about 20 to 25 minutes or until those potatoes are tender. And in the last 3 to 4 minutes, I'm going to add some peas. I don't want to overcook them, I just want to warm them through the curry. All right, the peas have gone in, they've just been cooking for a moment. I've also just been cooking some roti to serve with it. You could also just serve some rice if you like. Have a look at that. Thick, luscious. You can see all the potatoes are still holding their shape and it smells so good. All right, let's plate this up. A nice generous amount of potatoes and that thick gravy. And I really love the pop of the peas in here. Extra gravy for all that roti. And I like to finish this off with a julienne of really young ginger, totally optional. I just like the pepperiness of it. Some coriander, just a sprig for a pop of colour on the side. And the roti. Take that out. Hot. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And roti, because it's so flaky, just fold it in half. Place that there, and that is a stunning dinner. This curry also is 100% vegan, but if you're vegan or not, it doesn't matter. This is a stunning, wholesome dinner showing off delicious potatoes.